What is up, African Fight Fam? It is your boy JB back again with another episode of the African Fighters Podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, today no be only me, no be only me today. I carry the squad come. It's the Wazobia squad. If you don't know now, you know it's a Nigerian inside joke. So today not very eventful in the world of African MMA. However, there is still so many things to talk about, so many topics to discuss. We got Don Madge, South African fighter Don Madge. He was in action in PFL 3. We got. I could hear some noise in the background. Someone is in the background. Who's is that? Is that you, Ebuka? Demola, is that you?
That was the Demola song.
Someone's having a conversation, right?
Okay.
Meet me for a bit.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Yes. Apologies, people. So today we have the usual suspect of Kingdoms, but we introduce him in a bit when he's done putting out the fire in his house. But regardless, for the second time in a row, we did not chase him away. Ebuka is back at it. Ebuka, my brother, how you doing, man?
Thank you, brother. Thank you again for bringing me back on. Like you said, it wasn't a very eventful weekend, but I mean, we have the big one, which was Ryan Garcia, and then we had the PFL 3, interesting card. Let's interested to dive into it and see what's going on. There's an update on Themba, our man, and
and we also have King Dems. King Dems, how you doing, brother? How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I can't complain, brother. I can't complain.
Awesome. Welcome back. Yes, before we start, I have a very, very special announcement. One of our avid listeners in Christopher Graham, I want to send my special congratulations to him and his family. Christopher Graham is a father now. I believe his wife gave birth to a bouncing baby boy just 2 days ago. So there is a little Bafana boy running around. Christopher Graham is married to a South African, so there is that going on. So shout out to Christopher Graham. Congratulations and best wishes. You've got anything to say about Christopher Graham?
Here is God, oh. Here is God, oh.
Dems, you've got anything to say about Chris?
Congratulations, Chris. He's a very, very phenomenal guy. He's the brain behind a lot of the discourse that we always having every week. So I'm really happy for him. Wishing him and family very best.
Speaking about the discourse, when he sent me the message about his wife giving birth, he's like, I don't have time to shoot you guys questions because of what's going on. However, please talk about Don Madge. I was like, dude, get back to your wife. Ebuka, you got anything to say?
Congrats, but I mean, it's always fantastic when there is a new baby in the world. So, congrats to Chris, big ups, and I hope the baby and mother are doing very well.
All right, let's jump into the regular scheduled programming. We are going to start with PFL 3, which was the first thing that happened this week. Ladies and gentlemen, PFL 3, we saw a South African, Don Madge. He defeated Brennan, the Irish Brennan. Just 1 minute, in just 1 minute of the first round in PFL 3, he won via renegade choke. I must add that Don Madge was supposed to fight Kyle Crutchmer, in the welterweight division. That is for the regular season of the 2024 PFL series. And that fight fell off, and the replacement was Brennan Ward. Brennan Ward is a veteran. He has been fighting for Bellator before it got taken by PFL. He's been fighting for Bellator for a long time, so I think it's safe to say that Brennan is a veteran. And for Don Madge, who was out for a very long time, to jump back in there and finish in the first round. However, Don Madge has been battling his own situation with regards to his family. His wife had a baby as well. I believe his mom passed away not too long ago, so there's that happening. He has not fought in a long time due to one or two reasons, and this is fantastic for him and his career to get back in there. I must add that Don Madge is sort of like one of the lead figures of South African MMA. Of course, you heard about them Drickers with their gym, that is a CIT in South Africa, and then we've got Don Madge, I believe, with his own gym, training guys, being a mentor, only at age 33. So that's fantastic for him and whatever he has going on. I must add that Don Madge has had an incredible career so far, coming from EFC, going down to the UFC, and being one of the few fighters that actually asked for their contract to get terminated from the UFC. I recently I heard an interview that he had with our very good friend in South Africa. I believe his name is the name is Hack Check Podcast in South Africa. A very, very nice conversation. Don Madge went through his journey from EFC to UFC now to PFL and the things that he's been battling. It's really, really a good listen. So shout out to those guys. You could go find it. It's online. You've got anything about this, Dems?
The match. I'm really happy for him. Big bold step, leaving the UFC. Who does leave the UFC? And of course, you made mention of something he talked about in the post-fight interview. That is the passing away of his mom. So people do face their demons. People do face life challenges, and I'm happy to see him rise above, those tough life challenges, and wish him the very best.
Yeah, wish him the very best. The question now remains, who is next for him to fight in the PFL schedule? The welterweight division is open. There's no former champion. As you know, Sadibu C has always been fighting in welterweight, but he moved up to light heavyweight because PFL doesn't have a middleweight division. So as I'm speaking to you now, Don Madge is sitting comfortably on the top of the welterweight division with 6 points. With 6 points. We've had this conversation so many times about PFL and their scoring system and their point system, which I feel is still very, very ridiculous. But regardless, Don Madge, when you look at that table, you go on the PFL website and you see the South African flag on top. That gives me a lot of pride. Although South Africa is a rival to Nigeria, but we would still celebrate Don Madge being an African. So it feels really, really good. One thing I did notice about the PFL standings is that there is no single division that has an American on top of the standings. The closest to an American is a Canadian that I saw there. So PFL is really, really going global, even with the roster and all that. Any observations you made, Ebuka?
Yeah, I mean, interesting. Just going through his story there, it's always interesting, when a fighter takes a long time out of the ring. I mean, we know fighters, these guys want to be there, these guys want to train, they want to fight, they want to hone their skills. But having been out for that long and coming back with a win like that, a submission, that's very interesting. 6 points, like you said, they're sitting pretty on that ranking. I'm happy for the guy. Happy for a fellow African to do well, and we'll be watching to see what he does. In his next fight. Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the African Fighters Podcast. We are sickos for African fighters. We discuss everything African fights as long as we know about it. Lately our data set has been very big. We are opening our we are not sticking to the top guys in MMA and boxing, but we are actually spreading our wings and finding other guys that deserve a shout out. And speaking about deserve a shout out, there is a promotion from Bahrain called Brave CF. A lot of fighters know about this promotion, and with the resonation, or I should say with the development of MMA in Africa, we've heard about PFL Africa that has been promised to us. We still haven't gotten it. We've heard about UFC Africa and Dana White with his 1 million promises that we've never seen anything come to fruition. Kamaru Usman had an African promotion in Nigeria called African Knockout. They are steadily doing events back to back, so that's very, very good. But speaking about global promotions coming across to the continent.
Okay. Yeah. let me spill the beans. Let me spill the beans. Aside from Brave, right? BKFC are coming to Africa.
BKFC are coming. They are coming to South Africa. But I'm going to talk about the most recent one, which is Brave CF. Brave CF is a major player in the space of MMA. They currently have a South African as a champion in the Bantamweight division. That person is Nkosi Ndebele. That's the future. He's an incredible striker, incredible fighter. However, Brave CF is making their debut in Mauritius. I have a transcript here from blackbeltmag.com. I'm going to read it to you guys now. Brave CF debut in Mauritius has a headliner, and it's going to be a historic fight for the organization. Brave themselves, actually, they did put a press conference. I think this is in collaboration with the Mauritius government. Mauritius is a very, very hot tourist destination, by the way, very beachy. Bantamweight World Champion Nkosi The Future Ndebele will be putting his title on the line against his arch rival Jose Shorty Torres in the main event of Brave CF 82 in Mauritius on 11th of May. The fight will be the first ever trilogy in Brave CF history, and it will also be the first ever trilogy in MMA history, with each fight taking place in a different continent. So this is another record breaker because there was one in South America. I believe that was Colombia. I can't remember exactly with Ndebele and Shorty Torres, but this one is going to happen in Mauritius, as I said earlier. And something you would think about is, why is this the first trilogy in Brave CF? The reason why is because Brave, a lot of fighters use Brave as like their path to UFC. So they come through Brave and then end up in the UFC. And I continue. The first fight between the two fighters happened in Brave CF 73 in Bogota, Colombia. So I was right. For the vacant Bantamweight World title, Torres emerged victorious in the fight via split decision after two judges scored the card in his favor. The narrow defeat made Ndebele call for a rematch, and his demand materialized in Brave CF 80 in Bahrain, where obviously we saw Nkosi become champion. The inaugural clash between Ndebele and Torres occurred in Colombia, South America. The second happened in Bahrain in Asia, with both fighters holding one win apiece. And the rivalry is bound to have a befitting conclusion now with something they call in pro wrestling a rubber match. This is where we would finally end the rivalry, basically. So Brave CF 82 will mark the debut of event of Brave in Mauritius and the fourth overall event in Africa for the organization. The milestone card has a worthy main event, and fans can expect the announcement for more fights soon. However, the fights have been announced, and I have some here, and we have a few fighters in there that we already know. So the main event, obviously, Ndebele, Bantamweight title champion, against Torres from US. Then we have from Zimbabwe, Nicholas Hwende fighting Nazarov. And then we have another Zambian, that is Biko. He's fighting Gavashelishvli. Okay, I botched that name. We have I don't know if this is a Mauritius man or a Mali man. His name is Mssaate versus
Morocco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have Djiroun versus Ananias Mulumba from Congo DRC. As you know, Ananias Mulumba fights
Was in
also. Yeah, he fights in Kamaru
AKO.
Usman's AKO promotion.
Yeah.
He is
Yeah.
undefeated in AKO. He always puts in opponents in Rene Kechuk. He's one of the standout fighters, to be honest, in AKO. He's very,
That guy is
very,
good.
very, very good.
That guy is good.
I love seeing him fight. I think he
One of-
has the
one of
qualities to
Jiu-Jitsu
get to be.
fighters.
Yes, I love Mulumba. Then we have another Congolese, Kubanza. He's going to be fighting Rabei. And lastly, we've got Gilitov from Bahrain, I believe, fighting another Congolese in Lolia. All right, so that's what is announced so far in Brave CF 82. Any takeaways from you guys?
I mean, the only thing I can see straight away is that there's no Nigeria there, and that's the disappointment. I mean, how can a promotion put on a show and you want eyes on it, and there's no Nigerian on the card? You know, in Africa, that's
They should have taken
Jibril.
Jibrin Baba.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, Jibrin Baba can actually he's actually a very, very solid pick. We've got Daniel Emeka as well, but the thing with Nigerian fighters, right? Because MMA is relatively new, there isn't proper management for these fighters when it comes to like fight manager to actually approach these promotions and actually have these conversations of like, let me get your fighter on my card and all that. And then apart from that, most of these fighters are not very financially stable. So even if Brave give them a fight, they would need to fly these fighters over, which we know is not always the case with promotions. If I give you a fight, you bring yourself, right? But there's a lot of things that would have to be done for Nigerians to be on that card. I'm talking about specifically about Nigerians that are living in Nigeria. And I believe what this card does is what Brave are trying to do, or what it looks like from this card, is most of these fighters actually do live and train from their home countries, which is very important for the growth of the sport. Brave this is the fourth time they are coming, but the first time in Mauritius. And I believe they'll be doing it in the Côte National Sports Complex in Saint Pierre, Mauritius. Now, half of that country is resorts. So it's a hot tourist,
a fantastic tourist destination.
So don't be surprised that half of the crowd that will be there are people that are on holiday and like, oh, there's an event going on, a fight event, and then they would show up. It's really great. Shout out our boy Themba Gorimbo is here. Themba Themba the answer. He came clutch with the answer, didn't he? He said there is a visa restriction on Nigerians. Don't blame the fighters, but the country. I had put 2 in UAE Warriors, but they were turned down due to visa restriction. Cameroon and Nigeria. Yeah, so these are one of the reasons again why it's difficult to fly Nigerian fighters. As we are Nigerians, we already know this situation. And I think it was in Mauritius that they started banning Nigerian visas, right? Recently, or was it Cape Verde? Recently, Seychelles. Oh, it's Seychelles, right? Yeah, Seychelles. Because we've got issues with our. Yeah, we've got this thing with our brothers that if they give them visa and they go there, they will not come back. So, but I think Mauritius, you could easily get to Mauritius for fighting, and as a fighter, you probably wouldn't stay there, overstay. But places like, I think in UAE, it's quite popular that Nigerians had the visa ban for a long time. I don't know if that's opened. I heard the conversation that it's going to be more lenient towards Nigerian recently, but if it's in the UAE, the visa is going to be an issue. If it's America, that's a different ballgame. Even South Africans are struggling to get there. If it's in the Europe as well, that's a different thing. But yeah, that's the reality of thing. unfortunately for Themba in this case, he got two fighters, Nigerian fighters, to get to UAE Warrior, but they couldn't get their visa done. I think he's talking about one of his fighters, Godwin, fantastic fighter, with an incredible story. I'd like to actually speak to him sometime. But yeah, shout out to Themba. Themba is not only fighting, but he's actually putting work for the guys that are up and coming. Any more input from you guys?
Nothing from me for now. Ibuka.
I mean,
I'm not happy.
It's just it's just a
I'm not
highlight.
happy what's happening in Nigerians, man.
Exactly. It's
You don't do airports, Nigerians, airports. Ebuka, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, it's difficult, right? It's a sensitive and difficult one that Nigeria cannot even get into Mauritius. I think it says a lot about where the giant is right now. When you're a giant but you're sleeping, other people are gonna get past you, and I think that's what's going on at the moment. So, but take note.
All right. Mokuna tell I won't call him Bubu, but Natinubu abi. Our president, city boy. Moving on. We've got Themba in the comment section, and that's the topic we are going to go for. Themba's fight is now official. Themba is going to be fighting in the welterweight division in the Apex. Themba is the king of the Apex. He's going for that title, as he said. Yeah, Themba is currently on a two-fight win streak, all in the Apex. If you don't know, Apex is the performance center of the UFC. It's in the headquarters in Vegas. And this fight is going to be against Ramiz Brahimaj. Ramiz Brahimaj is 10-4. This fight is going to happen on May 18th on the card headlined by Barboza versus Murphy. So, we talk about Brahimaj a bit, right? Brahimaj is currently 2-2 in the UFC. If you go through his victories, you will see that he's very grappling heavy. Most of his finishes are submissions. And as we know, Themba is not a guest when it comes to grappling. So I am guessing, or I should say I'm certain that Themba wants to finish this standing like the last time, like his last outing. He said he was going to finish first round KO, and he did it, and that's fantastic. And Themba is on a mission to put his name out there, although the name is already out there, but he's on a mission. This time, Themba will be very high on the prelims. I think he might just be the feature prelim or just the co-main, if there's anything like that, a co-main of the prelims. What other points do I have? Let me go to Demola. Demola, what do you think? How do you think this fight is going to go? What are your thoughts about Themba versus Brahimaj?
I might sound a bit biased because Themba is our boy, but I think it's another first round KO. I am manifesting this. Themba. Show them. It's a pity Themba has deactivated Instagram again. So like when the UFC announced the fight, they couldn't even tag him, right? But then I put it up and then I said, show them the Mamba way. Show them the Mamba way. First round knockout. Another one. So we're on the way to the title.
I'm sure the UFC the UFC admin was searching for Themba, and he was he was like, did this guy block us? Why would he block us, man?
He's a fight camp. He's busy. Putting in the work.
Themba is very, very deep and busy with fight camp. How about you, Ebuka? Any thoughts about this fight?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as we know, Themba is more experienced than this guy. He has. Both has similar records. Just Themba has 2 more wins than him. and he's Themba is on a 2-fight win streak, unanimous decision, and TKO. So, I mean, I'm saying that he's going to take it a bit further now. He's going to knock this guy out this time, flush, just like we saw last weekend with Holloway and my friend. So I go for. I mean, and more importantly as well, Themba is an African fighter, and as we know, African fighters are the best. So Themba, go on and give him.
I'm going to say this, right? I'm going to say this, right? Because Brahimaj is grappling heavy. He likes to scramble. And Themba is a very good scrambler, as we know from history. He's got a lot of submission under his belt as well. Is it one of those things that the grappling will cancel each other and these guys have to actually stand and bang? Is it one of those things where Themba is taking his stand-up very serious and he's trying to he would want to have a spectacular finish this time? I guess we'll find out.
Every fight starts from the feet, right?
Well, every fight.
Yeah, I want to point something out, right? Go and look at Brahimaj's record, right? His record is his record is like the UK weather, right? It's on and off, on and off. So he's been alternating wins and losses since he became 6-1, right? So his last fight was a win. So this is the time to take another loss and go look at it. Go and look at it, right? He became 6-1. He won the next fight 7-1. 7-2, lost. 8-2, won. 8-3, lost. 9-3, won. 9-4. So it's a trend. Come on, I'm a numbers guy, so I have an eye for trends.
So after looking at Brahimaj's record, that's what you saw. It's like, it's time for him to take an L now. It's
it's the time. And I always say something about them, but I see that the grace of God is upon that guy's life. So God just put it for him, say, at
the right time.
At the right time. He got the guy at the right time. So it is what it is. Go and bet your house on it.
Okay.
Help me. If they carry me, they go where I don't know.
I no go bet my house, so you they carry me, they go where I don't know. I'm not a betting man. I will not even bet £1 because I'm not a betting man. I don't bet.
All right. Keep the stake halal.
Oh yes. All right, guys. All right. Let's talk. This is a part. Oh, we haven't spoken about the boxing fight, right? Even though there isn't really any African by nationality there. There was an African brother in there, an African American brother in there, David Haney versus Ryan Garcia. This was a fight that crossed over to the mainstream. It wasn't only a fight that stayed in the space of pro combat sports. To be honest, I wasn't very interested. I would say I wasn't too interested. It's not one of those fights that will keep me up. It's not a fight that I will spend my money on to buy a pay-per-view.
Come on, Ryan Garcia sold that fight. He sold it well.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people saying that Ryan Garcia trolled all of us.
It's the biggest troll job ever.
Bro, that guy looked very, very useless before that fight, right? And obviously his performance against Tank before now, where he kind of took a knee and I don't want to say he quit, but fighters hate it when you say they quit. But he lost that fight because he waved it off or whatever. That performance, as you know, combat sports fans, the fighters are always as good as their last fight. And even the odd makers did not favor Ryan Garcia to win that fight. And even the scorecard of the fight ended up to be a majority draw, which is another big conversation to have about the scoring system of boxing. I know Ebuka saw the whole thing. Ebuka is such a nerd that he had to stay up to see it. But Ebuka, I beg, explain to me, how is that a majority draw? A majority decision victory.
Yeah, well, I mean, one judge scored it 112 to 112, which is maybe fair enough, and then the others gave it to Ryan. Yeah, that which makes it a majority win for. But I think that should be a unanimous decision. To be fair, 3 knockdowns in the fight. Then 1 point was taken off from Ryan. I think it was in the 9th or 10th round now. Yeah, but honestly, it was a good fight. It was a very good fight. You could see that people there were enjoying, the action. Ryan was tuned in, and I was really surprised at Devin because, I mean, I thought the main problem is that Devin does not have knockout power, so he doesn't have power in his punches. So if you go to check his record, you can see that there are so many decisions in his record, which is something that a lot of people sort of ignored because of the trolling that Ryan gave us. Ryan, brought a lot, a lot. Yeah, he was actually the one that made me interested in watching this fight because
I
normally
swear, he's
this
so
is the kind of fight that I would be like, okay, I wake up in the morning and I'll go to the zone and watch the highlights. But I had to stay up and all that, and it was a good scrap. I'm not not gonna lie, I enjoyed it. It was good.
You know,
Um,
I was
yeah,
going to say, we've seen it so many times with Mexican fighters and Brazilian athletes as well, where once they get to that limelight, they stop caring, and then the partying and the drinking take over. We've seen it so many times. And when
even with the
going
footballers.
going into this fight and all the shenanigans with Ryan Garcia, he was even with that girl, that white girl that does that podcast where she does it with sarcasm. I forgot what her name
Nina,
is. Yeah.
Nina.
Uh-huh. And the whole thing about his mental health and all that, I started saying, oh, here we go again. It's another story of a Mexican boxer or if Brazilian footballer. I felt more sorry for him than actually caring for the fight. I started feeling bad for him. And then I listened to a podcast where Oscar De La Hoya, who manages him or who is his business partner or whatever, he came on Kamaru Usman's podcast, Pound for Pound, and he sold the fight to me, and I started caring about the fight. Now I wanted to see what was going to happen. And to be honest, I did not expect what I saw. I feel like it's one of those cases of like, it kind of, when the score was about to be announced, the feeling I had was Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury, where you watch a boxing fight and you know that in your head that this person won with the eye test. Your eyes are seeing the person that won, the person that looked like he was going to finish that fight, the person that looked like he wanted to win, and not the person that was scoring points, right? And even when the fight was going on, the announcers, they kind of pop in the lower third, they pop their scorecard, unofficial scorecard, and this unofficial scorecard looked like David Haney was going to win. So when the score was about to be announced, I was still like, well, you can never tell with these boxing judges, right? And to be honest, I was a bit surprised. That the majority decision came. Boxing is something I don't understand very well. There's another aspect that I was scratching my head for when Ryan Garcia was punishing, and then the referee would put a break in there, like there were points where he could have finished the fight, but the break would allow Haney to recover. I did not understand that bit as well. There's also the bit where Ryan was turning around and giving him the back of his head. So there's a lot of question marks there for me. Some things I guess I'm still learning about the sport, but I don't know, man. I don't know what boxing fans think about that. But Demola, what are your thoughts about the fight?
Oh wow. So I think I knew right from time that Ryan Garcia was trolling everybody, but I wonder why I did not, stake some money on it. And interestingly, like when I got to know that he really meant business was where he missed weight by 3.2 pounds, right? And then he was willing to take that bet with David Haney to give him $500,000
Per round.
pound.
Per pound, sorry.
Yeah, that he missed weight, and yet this guy meant business. Like you won't be giving somebody part of your purse if you know you're not sure that you're going to win that fight, right? And apparently he did not kill himself to make the weight. Yeah.
So another Another thing to talk about as a casual that I am about missing the weight. It's quite obvious. Obviously, it's a title fight, so it's no longer a title fight. If Garcia had made weight, he would be the champion right now of whatever division it is, because boxing has like a million divisions. But now, both fighters accepted a rematch, right? I think Garcia needs to make weight, and I feel like this rematch is going to be like bigger. Another thing I was also thinking about with regards to Garcia missing weight was, who cares? These guys are paid over 20 million each, right? The belt doesn't matter anymore to them. Who cares about the title? They don't. Ryan Garcia is likely a bigger star. I don't know if this is blasphemy, but in the mainstream, I feel like he's a bigger star than both Tank and David Haney. Right, in the mainstream. That's why I feel. I don't know how boxing fans will take this, but the title doesn't really matter too much to them at this point. But
you can take an eye test. Like, let's see what's your following on social media, Instagram, for example.
Yeah, you can check that. And another thing.
That's a good point.
Another thing is, even if Ryan Garcia loses the rematch against Haney, it's not going to damage him anymore, because we've already seen him take an L before, and we've seen him come back from taking an L. Right now, it's going to be one of those things of like Conor McGregor, where whenever Conor McGregor is going to fight, it doesn't matter what his previous record is, we are going to see it. And with this type of promotion that Garcia had on this fight, any other fight that he does similar promotion for is going to be it's going to be huge. Ryan Garcia has 11 million followers on Instagram, and Tank Davis
has 1 million. So yeah.
So you see, Gervonta Davis has 6.9 million, right? But then David Haney has just like about 1 point something million. So 2.8 million.
So you see, Ryan Garcia is the biggest. He's the biggest. He's like the money draw. It's just sad that Saudis don't care about small fighters. They would have brought them to Saudi. Saudis, they love their big heavyweights. It's not something they want to do. But Themba thinks that there will be no rematch for that fight, even though both fighters accepted to do a rematch. But we know boxing and the politics and the shenanigans that come with boxing when it comes to making a fight. It's so annoying for. I don't know how boxing fans take this, man. It's very annoying to wait to see the best fight the best. All right. There's a tweet that is up now by Gervonta Davis. He says, "That's what happens when you fight a motherfucker that is same size as you." Yo, I'm gonna give y'all the address to Dirt Spot on Cherry Hill. Need y'all to send mad pics, big ass poster to his crib of Devin ass in the air. Oh gosh, Gervonta Davis is on Twitter trolling, bro. He's on Twitter trolling. Anyways, moving on. Themba says boxing is a weird world. Yeah, really you know, that's the positive in MMA. The positive in MMA is that there is a monopoly, and it's monopoly of an organization or of a business is not always bad. WWE is the biggest wrestling company in pro wrestling. UFC is the biggest organization in UFC, in MMA. So that's where every great fighter is trying to get to. Every great pro wrestler, as a kid, growing up, you want to do pro wrestling, you're thinking about being in WrestleMania. As a kid, you're trying to get into MMA, you are thinking about going to the UFC. And once you sign those contracts, the matchmaking is not a big deal. But in boxing, I don't think there's a kid that is growing up and being like, I want to be the WBA champion. I want to be the WBC champion. They don't care. They just want to. You would hear them with ambitions of being like a Muhammad Ali. They'll be like, I want to be like a Mike Tyson. But they don't try to emulate or be like
These guys.
be like focused on an organization, because well, it is what it is, man. It
They
is,
want to
if
be
you get my point.
undisputed.
Or regarding the fighter, it's not Godwin, it's another fighter, but Godwin organized the guy. UAE Warriors approached me asking for help to finding African fighters available for 17th May. But as we know, Themba is making reference to the visa situations with Nigerians getting into UAE. It's very, very bad, very, very bad. Themba, if you need more suggestions, we've got a few Nigerians, not a few, quite a lot of Nigerians. We know all of them. We can put you on with them, but the issue again is this useless visa situation. If you want someone from Ghana, I do have contact for Ghana as well. If you want Themba, currently they are looking for 77 kgs, but less than 4 fights, and 66 kg, less than 2 fights. Yeah. Let me just give a shout. If you're a fighter that is watching this and you intend to, I got a Ugandan. Themba say he got a Ugandan. Yeah, there's quite a lot in Uganda. Themba, I can put you on with the manager of those Mulumba and Mssaate. If you don't know them, go look them up on YouTube. They are incredible fighters. I feel like they can take right now, with the current training they have in Africa, they can win fights in the UFC before they even get exposed to proper training. Those guys in Congo, they are actually fighting from Lumumbashi, I believe. They've got a big camp there, and all those guys are actual quality. I can put you on with the manager, Themba. All right, let's go. All right, let's do one more before we go. This is about Kamaru Usman. All right, this is a puzzle. And this is a question where I think even Kamaru Usman himself cannot even answer it at this point. If you ask Kamaru, what is next for you? And it's going to be a difficult question. First of all, we don't even know what weight class he is deciding on. Every time they ask him, he puts it as vague as possible, right? He has an event that is going to happen in Abuja, Nigeria, and he might likely be there. If he's going to be there, well, I will be there next month. And I would ask him myself, even though I know he's not going to answer me straightforward. I'll try to actually get an interview with him. Which division do you want to fight? I understand your answer has been, I feel great in the middleweight division, but he's still ranked number 2 or number 1 in welterweight. So it's a bit of a scuffle. But Ebuka, the numbers guy. I know that Demola like to call himself the numbers guy. Demola, I be like, say I don't find the number 1 numbers guy. Ebuka, who should Kamaru Usman fight? It's not making sense right now.
Yeah, it's
kind of tough.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of guys on ESPN and some of these other they've discussed Usman's situation. Even someone like I think Alex Volk has weighed in. It's difficult. He's in a difficult place. And funny enough, just I think yesterday I was watching that knockout by Edwards by Leon, and I felt it again. I felt like I had been knocked out again, because if that situation hadn't happened, who knows? But then, well, ifs and maybes. But I mean, exactly what weight class is he? We don't even know. We're not even sure if he's at welterweight now or he's at middleweight now. Obviously, I thought, at the time that maybe they would have matched him up with Whittaker, which would have been a good fight to watch. 2 former champions, 2 good guys. But obviously, Whittaker is now booked with Damzat. So, yeah, I don't know, bro.
I tell you what. Wait, okay. Do your
Or how about, bro? How about? I know this is something that he himself has said he would never do. How about we get Israel Adesanya versus Kamaru Usman, to headline UFC Africa? How about that?
First of all, UFC Africa has to be Dricus versus Adesanya 1. But UFC Africa, their first event has been reportedly to be a fight night, which we would not see a title fight if it's a fight night. And if it's a fight night, if Themba is currently the only African in the UFC roster that is currently on a win streak, so Themba is looking to be who might be the main event of a fight night in Africa if it happens. That is if Themba continues winning, obviously. So, I don't think what you said would be true. It's just nice for us to fantasize about that. But what I think that would have made business sense is, as we know, Kamaru Usman in the welterweight on his way to the title, he fought this former UFC champion called Sean Strickland. And he beat Sean Strickland by unanimous decision. And now
I was doubting that. Right? But
and now wait, yes. And now yes. And now both of them are in the middleweight. And I felt like this is one of those fights that would make sense to co-main McGregor versus Chandler, because McGregor versus Chandler is a no title fight. It's a pay-per-view that has no title in it. So the UFC like to do those sort of bookings in there. And I felt like Usman Strickland would have been perfect for the co-main of that card. But the UFC have already booked Strickland against Costa. I'm very, very sure that Strickland got tired of waiting and he like flooded their phones with phone calls about fighting. We saw him tweeted recently where he mentioned the pay that he was offered to fight Whittaker recently. And he said it's not even up to 500k. But however, I digress. That was the only fight that I thought that made sense for Usman. But Demola, how about you? Did I take words out of your mouth?
No, not really, because that is a permutation and a combination that I had created earlier in the year. But then I don't think that possibility is realistic any longer, because Adesanya is back, from his rest. So we would most likely see Usman go back to welterweight. I do not think Usman wants to be in a situation, where he would have to fight Adesanya, right? And Adesanya is likely to regain the title from Dricus. So that being said, I think it would make sense for him to fight either of Shavkat Rakhmonov or JDM, Jack Della Maddalena, right? So one of these, upcoming region bulls. So if he's able to pick up a win against, one of those guys, he should be in line to fight the winner of Belal versus Leon Edwards.
You think the UFC would want a scenario where Usman versus Edwards happen the fourth time? I'm sure that you know that fights with Leon Edwards doesn't do very good business.
So that means that you're already writing off Belal Muhammad. So it means you're thinking that Belal Muhammad actually loses to Leon Edwards. How about
I think any fight that would favor Usman to get back to the title is if Belal beats Leon. If Belal beats Leon, because it's Leon's first title defense, it doesn't really it's a second title defense, but you can say the rematch with Usman is the same. But you can't say Leon has enough body of work to get back in there and fight and get his title back, to get a title rematch. So I think the best case scenario for Usman is if Muhammad beats Leon Edwards, and then he can be like, okay, I would fight a title eliminator fight. Mm-hmm. Or, as we know the UFC, how they do their things, they can just turn around and give Usman the title fight, because the welterweight division is not very nice. But I think I kind of agree with you. Usman might decide to go back to welterweight and fight one of these up and coming guys. If he beats one of them, it's clear-cut number one contender. And a lot of rumors have been going out that Usman has stated that he only has 2 or 3 fights left in him. So if his next fight is a title eliminator and then he gets a title fight, because his last fight was a title eliminator against Chimaev, And if he had beaten Chimaev, we probably would see Usman versus Strickland for the middleweight title. Who would have thought? But yeah,
Crazy.
I kind of lean towards what you are saying, Demola. But shout out to Kamaru Usman. If I get a chance to meet him in Abuja, Nigeria, I have a lot of questions for him, man. I have a lot of questions for him.
I mean, even him, is not sure of what he's going to do next. He had an interview on ESPN. He just said a lot of things that actually saying, "Oh, okay, this is bad." So it's a difficult one. But I mean, I see how you guys just ignored the suggestion I made about him, but you guys don't even want to.
That will never happen.
Israel versus Usman. Okay, this is the only scenario I see Israel versus Usman happening.
I mean,
Israel becomes middleweight champion, and Usman becomes welterweight champion, or maybe he doesn't become a champion. And it's a fight that has been promoted to be Usman's last fight, his last hurrah. And maybe Izzy will be like, okay, come, let me give you your last big paycheck. Let's do this fight. And they hug and kiss and do it. Maybe, and then Usman leaves his glove in there. Maybe that's the only way I see it making sense, even though I know it doesn't. So that's the only thing I see. All right, guys. I think we've chatted enough. There you have it. Well, anything from you guys?
Oh, I'm looking forward to 301.
Help me! If they carry me, they go, I don't know.
I'm looking forward to 301, and I hope they can bring a matchup for Pereira to save that card. Because to be honest, I think that people need to be paid to watch the current, main events. I think it's going to be absolute bonkers if they don't have Pereira saving that card. Probably Pereira versus Tomas Pino.
I heard that Jiri Prohaska is ready to get back in there.
That'll be another fun matchup as well.
Yeah, so Jiri versus Pereira will be actually very exciting.
But to be honest, would you like it if the flyweights remain as the headliners of that card?
Oh no, that card looks disgusting, man. That card I don't think is going to sell a dime. No. As you know my slogan, me Jibril, I like big, heavy, meaty, sweaty men fighting. There is God.
That does sound right. But when was the last time we ever saw a flyweight headline a card?
I think that's Moreno and Figueiredo when they were doing that, their hot potato of that flyweight title. That's the last time they headlined anything.
And that's because there's a storyline to it.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's it from the African Fighters. Really, really appreciate you guys sticking around. We've got one comment. Hey, El Clasico is going on, boys. Madrid beat Barca 3-2. Of course, what do you expect? Madrid is going to win the La Liga title. In Spain, I'm a fan of Madrid. I hate Barcelona. How about you, Ebuka?
Yeah, of course, I'm a Madrid fan all day in Spain. I mean, partly because Barcelona cost us 2 Champions Leagues in the space of 3 years.
Who is us?
I hate Barcelona.
Who is us?
He's a Madrid fan. He's a Madrid fan.
Ha! You saw that FA Cup semi-final today. Bro, that semi-final, I was ready to roast every Manchester. Bro, I will go through my contacts and call every Manchester United fan. You saw that? You saw when Coventry scored the 4th goal? Bro, United was winning 3-0 semi-final of the FA Cup in Wembley. 3-0 against Coventry. And Coventry equalized. They scored all 3 goals in 20 minutes. And then they went to extra time. In the last minute of extra time, Coventry scored the 4th goal. Then VAR called it back for offside. Bro, I was in the house going crazy. Like, that's the biggest story this year. Then they went to penalties and United won it. You know something that I'm happy about as a Chelsea fan is that United is more useless than we are. You understand? Because at least let me explain.
Rankings.
Let me explain.
Rankings. Chelsea was a mid-table team.
Let me tell you something.
Tell us something.
Chelsea has a direction. We know that we've got young boys, and we know that they are only going to get better. We can tell from the way they play the game. United has no direction. United has no direction. United, if you ask Ebuka like this now, how are you going to fix United? He doesn't know. He's going to tell you Ten Hag out, but they still have useless players. Themba says, see you guys in London. Yes, Themba, we can't wait, man. He says, on my way back to the motherland, I promise to stop to see you on the way, but time. Oh, okay. So he is gonna probably stop by, get out of the airport on his way back. Initially, he wanted to swing by after on his way to Zim, but now he is going to show up. Yeah, so we will adjust and yeah. We would align with you, Themba, and we will be down at the Heathrow. All right, fellas. I did not expect that we are going to end this conversation talking about football, but there you have it. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We really, really appreciate. Congrats again to Christopher Graham on his bouncing baby boy. Best wishes to you and your family, Chris, and peace and love. Out.
All right, guys.